Tinubu directs release of minors arraigned for hunger protests. Bandits attack security checkpoint, kill 4 personnel in Zamfara. Nigerian women to embrace biogas technology initiatives to help reduce risk of domestic and environmental hazards. On the foreign scene, Chad threatens to exit regional security force after deadly attack. Good evening and welcome to the news update on Trust TV. I am Aisha Salihu. Thank you so much for joining us. The news in detail. Following the outrage that trailed the arrest and arraignment of minors over the End Bad Governance protests held in several parts of the country in August, President Bola Tinubu has directed the immediate release of all the detainees. Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, disclosed this to State House correspondents on Monday after the president swore in seven newly appointed ministers cleared by the Senate. The minister said the president ordered the immediate release of the minors without prejudice to whatever legal processes that are ongoing. The president also directed the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Reduction to immediately see to the welfare of those minors and also take part to ensure their smooth reunion with their parents or guardians wherever they are in the country. Tinubu also directed that a committee would be set up to be spearheaded by the Humanitarian Affairs Ministry to look at all issues surrounding the arrest, detention, treatment, and finally the release of the minors. The Nigeria Police Force has arraigned 18 hunger protesters, including minors, before the High Court in Maiduguri. 7 of the protesters were charged for conspiring to take up arms against the government and 11 others for flying Russian flags and disturbing public peace on the protest day. According to the police, the offences are punishable under Section 76B of the Penal Code Law of Borno State. The court adjourned the case for accelerated hearing on 18th November. Counsel for the defendants, Yakubu Adamu, said it pleaded not guilty to the 2-count charges and asked that the minors be remanded in a juvenile center until the adjourned date.
Looking at their aids and the way that they have been standing before this court, the judge decided to be remanded at a juvenile center before we even apply for that. The next agenda to apply before the court, either to correct it, or if that is the case, we can apply even for the objecting their arraignment before this honorable court, because this is not a juvenile court, this is an adult court. And then all this, the case that has been tried before this honorable court is the case that the adults committed the offense against any state, against the state or any other parastatal or agency in the states.
And to security matters, bandits have killed 4 soldiers at Gidanzara village in Zurmi local government area of Zamfara following an attack on a military checkpoint. The incident occurred in the early hours of Monday while residents were observing early morning prayers. An eyewitness who preferred anonymity said the bandits kept their motorbikes afar and trekked to Gidanzara Primary School where the checkpoint is located. He said the bandits who took the soldiers unaware killed 4 of the soldiers before they left. He, however, said prior to the recent attack, Zurmi and its environs have enjoyed relative peace in recent times. And now joining us via phone for more on this particular story is Daily Trust Regional Editor Yushau Adamu. Thank you so much, Yushau, for joining us on the news update.
Good evening.
Now, Yusha, we're seeing that bandits have attacked a checkpoint. I'd like to hear from you. How did we get here? I mean, one would think for a checkpoint, there should be a lot of security measures in place. So much so that bandits would not even have access to this area, but this has happened. What can you say regarding this?
Well, from what we have heard from the residents of the area, they have enjoyed relative peace in the recent days. But it appears that the bandits are targeting the security personnel in the area because this particular attack was basically on our security personnel. They only killed the soldiers and they have not abducted anybody. After the killing, they left the area without bothering to attack the community, having dislodging the security personnel in the area. Mm. So it appears they were just there to attack the security personnel. Mm.
Yusha, I'm inclined to agree with you that this is most likely a targeted attack at security operatives. But I'd like to hear from you. Have we heard any words from, security agencies in Borno State or even the military, even in that area? And how secured is that area owing to the fact that this has happened?
Well, the area we can say is secured because the soldiers are working alongside the Zamfara State Community Protection Guards. So where there is no enough military, you will find out that the personnel of the Community Protection Guards were deployed and they are working hand in hand with the military personnel. So it is the presence of the security personnel that reduced the frequency of the attack on the communities in the recent days.
Mm. Now, I'd like to hear from you. Has there been any statement from the military? I mean, this happened in the early hours of today. Has there been any statement from them regarding this incident and what's the plan moving forward?
Well, up to this time, we haven't received any statement from either the military or police. But in most cases, when such incidents happened, when we contacted the police, they will tell us that it is the military that is handling this kind of operation. And the procedure of issuing a statement from the military angle, it takes some days before they finally release the statements.
Hmm. Okay. Thank you so much for bringing us up to speed on the latest development in Zamfara State. There we had Yusha Adamu, Daily Trust Regional Editor. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Still on security matters, gunmen on Monday launched an attack on the police rapid response squad facility at Owerinta, located along the Umuahia-Aba Federal Expressway in Abia State. During the assault, a female detainee was fatally shot. Confirming the incident, the State Commissioner of Police, Danladi Isa, said one suspect was arrested. Unconfirmed reports suggest the female detainee killed during the attack had been detained in connection with a child trafficking case. The Court of Appeal in Abuja has discharged and acquitted former Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Walter Onogen, from his conviction for false asset declaration by the Code of Conduct Tribunal. Onogen's conviction, handed down on April 18, 2019 by the Umar Yakubu Danladi Tribunal, was overturned by the Appellate Court following the resolution of the issues that led to his trial and conviction. Justice Abba Bello Muhammad, in a judgment based on the terms of settlement adopted by the federal government and Onogen, ordered that the 4 bank accounts previously ordered to be forfeited be returned to him. Onogen's suspension came barely 8 hours after he announced his decision to inaugurate judges who would preside over election petition tribunals. In a brief statement, Onogen's lawyer, Adeboyega Awomolo, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, expressed gratitude to President Tinubu and the Attorney General of the Federation for ensuring the resolution of the issue.
We all shouted, we all protested. We didn't know that the worst was coming. The worst that came was the removal of our Chief Justice of Nigeria, the head of the third arm of government, in an unceremonious manner. We all shouted about it. It was maneuvered. Unfortunately, the man became a victim. He was denied access to the Council of States. His monies that were in bank were taken away from him. And his life became almost, with respect, meaningless. If you rise from your call to ban 1978 to being removed as Chief Justice of Nigeria, what is left for you? Nothing. When this happened, anything can happen to any of our judges. And we believe that it not or should not happen in a constitutional democracy.
The district head of Miri, Abubakar Hussein Osman, has encouraged Nigerian women to embrace biogas technology initiatives to help reduce the risk of domestic and environmental hazard. He disclosed this to journalists after a meeting with stakeholders in Bauchi. Trustee Adamu Imam has details.
In a move to fight domestic and environmental pollution, stakeholders in Bauchi State are expressing concern over the use of biogas technology by housewives within various communities. The district head of Miri urged users to apply caution. Track up Hussein Othman, district head.
This is a very good technology, and what we wish all is to embrace the technology, and we hope it will not be expensive, because people may run from expensive energy to use cheaper energy.
Experts during the meeting enumerate some of the challenges women face as a result of using local ways of cooking in their homes. According to representative of Small-Scale Women Farmers Organization of Nigeria, SWOFON, about 250 housewives will benefit from the biogas technology in Des and Bauchi local government areas of the state.
The technology know-how, that is the technology. How are they going to? Because at the beginners, they don't know maybe the quantity of the materials they are going to use, which one is more better than that. The combination of so many waste materials they are going to use, organic manure, storm refuse, kitchen waste, and other kind of waste material are going to use.
Is to create awareness so that the community people, the religious leaders, women and youth can know the importance of this biogas so that they can take it to other people. You know, each person that we invite here, he has more than 100 people under him. So getting him aware, he will also go and aware other people so that the biogas use can be everywhere.
Women participants and stakeholders advise Women Farmers Group to train more women in rural areas for the benefit of all. Adam Imam, Trust TV News, Bauchi.
President Bola Tinubu has sworn in 7 newly appointed ministers at the council chambers in Abuja. Those sworn in include Nentawa Yewada as the Minister of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Reduction, Muhammadu Megari Dingyadi as the Minister of Labour and Employment, Bianca Odinaka Odumego Juku as the Minister of State Foreign Affairs. Others are Jumoke Oduwole, Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment, Idi Mukhtar Meha, Minister of Livestock Development, Yusuf Abdullahi Atta, Minister of State Housing and Urban Development, and Suwaiba Saeed Ahmad as the Minister of State Education. Monday's swearing-in comes days after their appointment by President Tinubu and subsequent confirmation by the Senate. The Nigeria Air Force is seeking sustained synergy with Media Trust Group to deal with the menace of misinformation in the country. The 27th Director, Public Relations and Information of the Nigeria Air Force, Air Commodore Olushola Akimboye, stated this when he paid a courtesy visit to the management of Media Trust in Abuja. During the visit, he re-emphasized the importance of the media in the fight against terrorism, banditry, and all other forms of criminalities in the country. The Group Chief Executive Officer of Media Trust Group, Ahmed Shekarau, thanked the PRO for his visit and reassured the Nigeria Air Force of the organization's continuous support.
The need for stronger collaboration between the Nigerian Air Force, the Nigerian Armed Forces as a whole, in fact, and reputable and strong media organizations such as Media Trust cannot be overemphasized. It's vital, the work that Media Trust does to keep the Nigerian public informed about the efforts being made not just by the Nigerian Air Force, but by all stakeholders in Nigeria's security to keep the nation and the people safe. It's also important that this synergy is strengthened because of the growing need to address decisively the challenges of misinformation and disinformation that we find ourselves dealing with, particularly in the social media space. And so my appeal this morning, on the one hand, I must express appreciation for the commitment that Media Trust Group has shown to its partnership with the Nigerian Air Force. You have been strong partners and you have helped to keep the Nigerian public informed accurately and in a timely manner.
We're in the era of misinformation, disinformation, fake news, and the like. And like you said, that calls for much closer collaboration between the Nigerian Air Force, and by extension the armed forces in general, and media organizations like us. For me, even the social media platforms, you shouldn't really, disregard them, because part of what contributes to our difficulties, in terms of doing our job, sometimes is the lack of information on our part. And this, challenge is usually overcome by just a little thing, when you open your doors, a little widely, you discover that those who ordinarily would have gone to write and damned the consequences would actually do a check.
You're watching the news update coming to you live from Trust TV studios in the nation's capital. Still ahead. Dissecting climate change impact mitigation as stakeholders set agenda for African leaders at COP29. We'll bring you more news when we return. Do stay with us. Welcome back and thanks for staying with us. Let's take a look at some of our top stories again. Tinubu directs release of miners arraigned for hunger protests. Bandits attack security checkpoint, kill 4 personnel in Zamfara state. And now moving to other stories. Stakeholders in the climate sector have outlined a critical agenda for COP29 as global leaders prepare to seek solutions for climate mitigation. At the gathering, stakeholders are focusing on channeling action towards just and sustainable climate financing. The report.
The United Nations Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs reports that in 2023, at least 12,000 people died globally due to floods, forest fires, storms, and landslides. This marked a 30% increase compared to 2022. The global climate crisis necessitates urgent action, with the most severe impacts affecting vulnerable regions, particularly in the global south.
Nigeria, Africa, and the rest of the global south are bearing the biggest brunt of climate crisis despite their insignificant contributions to global emission. What remains worrisome is the unbordered disposition of polluters at the global north and their deliberate refusal to accept historical liabilities, commit to reparatory justice through progressive and sustainable grant and not loans for climate financing.
Stakeholders have identified gaps from COP28 that must be addressed in COP29. The Nigerian government is advised to prioritize the development of climate-resilient infrastructure, especially at the grassroots level.
Nigeria has set an example in harnessing green finance to support projects that address key environmental challenges, and that is what that green bond aims to achieve. These bonds have enabled us to fund projects in renewable energy,
afforestation, and transportation, as well as contributing to our commitment under the Paris Agreement and our nationally determined contribution.
Now, the whole debate actually about climate change ought to be, I'm saying ought because it's not treated as if that's what it is. It ought to be about how to utilize, how to share the remaining carbon budget. And the remaining carbon budget is because the science agrees that there's a certain level of carbon or fossil fuels we cannot burn, the unburnable fossil fuels.
The future of climate finance depends on collaborative, transparent and equitable approaches between global commitments and local realities. Habibat Ajayi, Trust TV News, Abuja.
And to developments in business, the Nigeria Customs Service has successfully facilitated the country's first shipment to Kenya under the African Continental Free Trade Area Agreement. Lucky Fibers, a subsidiary of the Tolaram Group, is the first company to export goods to Kenya under this initiative. Senior trade expert and lead trade enablement at the Nigeria AFCTA Coordination Office, Olusegun Olutayo, disclosed this in a statement on Sunday after a visit to the Apapa Area Command to ensure proper documentation and verification of the shipment. He noted that the shipment from Nigeria to Kenya, specifically to the port of Mombasa, demonstrates the collaborative spirit of AFCFTA. He emphasized the critical role of the customs as the designated competent authority under AFCFTA, leveraging its expertise to ensure seamless trade. Assistant Comptroller and the Releasing Officer for Lily Pond Export Command at Apapa Area Command, Olushola Salako, highlighted the Nigeria Customs Service's efforts to leverage technology to ensure that AFCFTA is successful in Africa. And to developments away from Nigeria, Chad's President Mahamat Idris Deby has warned that his country may withdraw from a regional security coalition, citing frustrations over its effectiveness in countering insurgent threats in the Lake Chad region. Deby's remarks came during a visit to the area on Sunday, where he expressed concerns about the multinational Joint Task Force's impact in tackling armed groups. The announcement followed an attack in late October that claimed the lives of around 40 Chadian soldiers. The incident, reportedly carried out by suspected Boko Haram militants, highlights the ongoing security challenges facing the region. The Lake Chad Basin borders Chad, Nigeria, Niger, and Cameroon, each contributing troops to the MNJTF, which was formed to counter insurgent activity across these national borders. Deby emphasized his disappointment in the level of coordination within the force, pointing to a lack of joint efforts against the common enemy. And in sports, the National Sports Commission has approved the release of an investigative report examining the negative publicity surrounding Nigeria's participation in the Paris 2024 Olympic and Paralympic Games. The decision came shortly after Shehu Diko took over as NSC chairman, following a request by Dr. Mumuni Alao, chairman of the investigative committee. The investigative panel, initially commissioned by former Minister of Sports Development John Owan Eno, completed its work and submitted its findings to Eno on October 22, 2024, in a meeting attended by Atinuke Wati, the former permanent secretary. Although Eno initially scheduled a public presentation for October 25, 2024, the event was postponed due to his reassignment to another ministerial role by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Upon his assumption of office last week, Diko endorsed the reports released to ensure transparency and address concerns raised during Nigeria's Olympic and Paralympic campaign in Paris. The committee submitted a comprehensive 54-page report featuring testimonies of the personalities involved, digital and documentary evidence. And on that note, we've come to the end of the news update on Trust TV at this hour. Remember, you can always follow us across all of our social media platforms and also join our YouTube live stream for more news, programs and documentary. I am Aisha Salihu. Thank you so much for watching. Join us again.